Okay, good morning, friends. We're continuing Mishna Daf Hashavua. We're learning Hilchos Nesias Kapayim Siman Kuf Chav Ches Seif Chaf Vav. Seif Chaf Vav. B'sha Shemavarchin Ein Loimar Shum Pasuk Ela Yishtiku V'Chavnu Labracha. At the time that the Kohen is Mavarich, they're saying Yivarechecha Adai Shem. You're not allowed to say any of the Pesukim. You should be silent and be mechavein for the bracha. Nowadays, that the Kohanim are very marich in their nigun, the minhag gam kein lamer Pesukim. The minhag is to say Pesukim. Uchmash Nazbar le'el Siman nun zayin le'inyan barchu. Ach yoser toiv shaloi la'amram. It's better not to do it. By the way, there's a tshuva in the Ramah. The Ramah says that when he says the word nahagu, means it's not correct. You hear this? Nahagu means it's not correct. Noihagim means it is correct. Nahagu means people do it. So he says nahagu, but it's better not to. Says Mishabura, Ein loimar. Deklum yesh evet shem varchmas ve'enim mazin. You can't say Pesukim. You have a servant that they give him a bracha and he's not listening. So, accordingly, Rosh Zalman says that if you hear a Kaddish, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, or any other bracha, Mel brachas, Kohanim, you should not answer, because the king is giving you a bracha, you cannot interrupt. It's not like Kriya Shema or even Shemona Esrei that you stop and you listen, because Kriya Shema and Tefillah, you're serving the Melech. So you're serving the Melech, you could stop and praise the Melech. But Birchas Kohanim is not Avodas HaMelech. The Melech is Mavarich you. So you don't even stop. You hear this? The Birchas Kohanim is even more chamor than Shemona Esrei itself. During Shemona Esrei, you stop at least to hear Kaddish Kedusha. Not so Birchas Kohanim. What if you already daven in another minyan and you're hearing Birchas Kohanim and you entered let's say you already heard Birchas Kohanim, you enter a shul during Duchanan, the Ben Ish Chai says you gotta stop and listen. You can't leave until they finish. What if you're in the middle of learning? Rav Shlomo Zalman says you have to stop learning and you listen, you stand up and listen to Birchas Kohanim. However, Talmud Torah derabim, you're not mevatel. But if you're learning be'iyon and interrupting will cause you to be hafra, then the Beis Baruch says you don't have to interrupt. I would point out, if you have your phone on you, then of course you have to interrupt for Birchas Kohanim because you're not really learning. But if you don't have your phone on you, now we could evaluate whether your learning is worthy enough to stop and interrupt. Okay? In other words, it has to be your mamish learning be'iyon. You wouldn't interrupt for anything else. Okay, shaloi la'amram, not to say it. V'chein kasu ha'achroinim d'chein ikar. The achroinim say that's the ikar. In other words, you do not say the Pesukim. You know somebody who he's a very good Jew and he says the Pesukim, he's still a very good Jew, he's just not doing this thing right. The halacha is you're not allowed to say the Pesukim. That's the maskana. V'kasu Magen Avram v'ataz de'ha'imram yomer b'shosha shel tzira makri l'fnei ha'kohanim. The Magen Avram and the Taz say that if you want to say it, you should say it when the shel tzibor is feeding it to the Kohanim. The Eliyah Rabbah megamgim gam b'zeh ayin sham. The Eliyah Rabbah questions this as well. Why? Because we're afraid if you're going to say the Pesukim, the Kohanim might not hear the Makri, Trei Kali Lo Mishtamoi. And also, you don't get anything by saying the Pesukim because it's not the time the Kohen's giving you the bracha. V'chein hinig hagra sh'lo l'amram. The Gra accustomed the world not to say. Certainly, you should not say it out loud, like many do. Especially those who repeat the words Yivarecha and further. Shalei nizkar b'shamakim minagzeh. This custom is not brought anyway. Sif chav zayin. Kohen enoi rashai lahoisef mid.
Why are they singing? You're not supposed to say anything there.
Why are who singing?
The Kohanim.
The.
It says Asher Shaganim Arichin Harbe Benigunim. It sounds like that came first, so they decided to say stuff. Like,
so I don't know. I don't know if he's referring to the nigun of the Kohanim by the final pasuk, because that's based on the Gemara. The Gemara says that if somebody had a dream, then they're mispala for it during Birchas Kohanim. So that's already legislated from the Gemara. What kind of nigun? Maybe, they go Yivarechecha and they gurgle a little bit. So that's an extended chant. They were gurgling raw eggs in the morning, and they're extending their Yivarechecha. So because of that, there was extra time.
So he's not referring to Rabbi Shalom?
I don't think so. Okay. So Kohen ein rashal hoisem midai to yosal shlosh psukim sheberchas kayanim. The Kohen is not authorized to add more than the 3 psukim. He can't say matoivu. He can't say Bereshis bara loikim, and he can't say hazino shemayim va'aretz. V'im hoisef over al bal toisef. If he adds, he's over on bal toisef. Says the Mishna Berurah of Kalton Kovdad Kohen Einer Lashon Hagemara Lashon Hagemara Shalo Yoimar. He shouldn't say Ha'el v'nasna Torah shus levarech, since the Torah gives him a permission to be mevarech. Oisa brachas mishali. He said, let me add a cherry on top. Kagoin Hashem Elokai Avoy Seichem Yosef Aleichem Kachem Elef Pa'amim. Such a beautiful bracha. Tamaloimer Lo Yisosifu. Umasik Shama Gemara. The Gemara concludes that Afilu Kvar Siyem Kol Berchaisav Gamkin Over Belav. Even if he's already done the Birchas Kohanim, now he's just adding it after he's over Bal Toisef. The Kol Shekein Im Hoisifa Em Sa Bracha. Certainly if he adds it in the middle of the brachas. What if you meet him down walking down the street, and he says, Yimale Hashem kol mishalois libcha l'taiva. Is the Kohen over on Bal Toisef? No. Pri Megadim says no. Only if it's in the context of Berchas Kohanim. Not a Kohen is allowed to be mavarich somebody. V'davka l'hoisa pasuk acher aser. Davka to add a pasuk. Avaloymar Birchas Kohanim kama pa'amim. What if he wants to say Birchas many times? Einoi misham Bal Toisef. Deloi shayich Bal Toisef ba'asiyas ha-mitzvah shtei pamim. There's an important klal. You're not over Bal Toisef doing a mitzvah twice. You're over Bal Toisef if within the mitzvah you add to the way it's run. 5 parshios in tefillin, 5 strings on the tzitzis. But if you put on 2 garments of tzitzis, 100 garments of tzitzis, you put on tefillin, then you put it on again, you're not over Bal Toisef. This is Toisvis in Rosh Hashanah Tazayin Mud Beis. Let's say, V'im hoisif, if he adds, Fuhadin im gara mea brachas or misham Bal Tigra. Let's say the Kohen says, I'm only giving 2 out of 3. He's over Bal Tigra. What if a Kohen begins Birchas Kohanim before Tzeis, and he completes it after Tzeis? The Emek Bracha says he's over Bal Tigra, because since Birchas Kohanim is only B'Yoyim, and this guy finished the 3rd Bracha B'Layla, that's also a violation of Lo Sigra. Rabbi Sai, Agitin Chodesh. We'll see everybody tomorrow, continuing in Sif Chavchas. Shkayach.
Recording stopped.